So I was just reading real quick. You guys got a AM staff, and you're looking for just general obedience. I think it was.
Yeah, we just moved to Hawthorne Woods from Portland, Oregon,
Okay.
and there's no, as part of like the village code here, there's no fences.
Okay.
Um, so obedience is one thing, but I'm also looking to like do some e-collar training so I can let him into the yard, but still feel like I can sort of control him
Hmm.
from running into other yards or that sort of thing.
Okay. Um, so the is he going to be supervised while out in the yard, or is he going to be unsupervised ever?
Supervised,
Supervised. Okay. Yeah.
but like further away than like a leash would allow. So like he can, it's a big yard, so if he can like run to the corner, and sniff around whatever it might be, and I can stay on the porch, that sort of thing.
Uh, and did you say the neighborhood was Hoffman Gardens?
It's called Hawthorne Woods.
Hawthorne.
Yeah, it's up by Lake Zurich.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so you're out in the suburb.
Yeah, suburbs for sure.
Okay. And then how well trained? So the garden or the perimeter training, it's simple to do. We nothing we do at the facility is gonna do anything in that sense,
Okay.
but it's very easy for you to once he's been trained to instill a perimeter.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Good.
all the obedience stuff, seeing here recall cutting through the noise. Is that because he gets like really distracted?
Well, so yeah, he gets distracted. He's not like aggressive, but I'd say he's like anxious or like worried sometimes,
Okay,
and it's hard to like cut through that noise. Like when he like starts to like stiffen up,
sure.
his tail comes up and his back gets hard. Um, it feels like there's not much I can do. Like he's sort of like decided that he is on guard, I suppose. So if
Sure.
I'd love to like sort of like cut through that, um, if I can. He's also just like generally afraid of children.
Hmm.
He doesn't like anyone who's 3 feet tall. Um, I mean, he's fine. He's fine if we were like walking by the sidewalk, but if they start coming at him with like hands out and like moving erratically and making eye contact, then he sort of backs up and does like a lot of aggressive barking.
Okay. Has he been around any like older kids?
He hasn't really been around kids like at all. It's been adults, and then we have a 3-year-old, um, and that's basically been it. Um,
Okay, so it's like kids on a walk or when that you come across on
yeah,
a walk when you're
well,
outside.
but like also like I wouldn't feel comfortable having kids over for a birthday party,
Okay,
you know, um, or like taking him to a neighbor's house and like the kids can play in the yard or something. I wouldn't feel comfortable with him in that sort of environment.
okay. When the kids start moving towards them and he's barking, is he like moving forward or does he back off?
He backs off a little bit, and his
Okay,
butt kind of goes down.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Does his tail go into?
yeah, his tail kind of goes in. Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. And is that what you're classifying as the leash reactivity, or is he getting
Um,
reactivity towards other things?
the leash reactivity is he's sort of like when we're going on a walk, he sniffs around a lot, and then he kind of like picks up a trail. I don't know what he smells. A possum that was moving around the night before or something, and he really gets like locked into just like sniffing and like he starts pulling. And even though we have a metal like spike collar, he just like he kind of like gets on the scent and like I try not to like really jerk him too much, but I'll be like Tony, and then like after 2 tries, I'll just give him like a yank, and then he responds to that.
Hmm.
He's very focused on sniffing whatever he
Yeah,
wants to.
sure. Okay,
Yeah,
so he's got some prey drive, it sounds like.
yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah,
What about if he sees other dogs?
usually fine. If other dogs start like barking at him, he kind of like bristles a little bit, but he doesn't ever seem to be like the one who like initiates with another dog. He's sort of like aware of other dogs. And in this neighborhood, like, you know, other dogs have like e-fences and they come running up to the edge and bark at him.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of bristles a little bit, then he like does like a little bit of a whine.
Okay.
He kind of goes, ooh, 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 but they keep walking and it's fine.
Okay. Does he have any dog friends?
He does. Just wait a second. He's got a young friend named Winnie. Oh, you know Winnie from Elizabeth and Tyler.
Look at these, Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Winnie's one of his friends. Elizabeth is my sister's sister.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they've hung out a little bit. He, when they hang out, he like puts her down, and she gets on her back immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and then they kind of do this like
yeah,
with each other.
Yeah.
So that's one of his friends, I suppose. And then Napoleon is their other dog.
Okay.
Who's really old. And they don't really. Tony tries to hump him a little bit, but he's super old, and we stopped that quickly.
Okay.
Beyond that, let's see, my mom has like a tiny Havanese. They don't really interact. They just sort of like exist in the same space.
Yeah, coexist. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
My sister has this like sort of like husky named Katya, and they haven't actually met yet. I guess I always have a little bit of like trepidation about him meeting new dogs. So I want to be certain about it. So I mean, that's it for his friends.
Okay.
In Portland, he used to go to daycare
Mm-hmm.
a lot back before the pandemic. You know, he was probably going to daycare like 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Indoor, outdoor, no toys, and he like did really well with the pack. And he was great. Taking him to dog parks. If another dog has a ball or a toy, he'll like try to take it, and then what he does is he sort of like drops it and waits for the dog to try to take it back, and then he sort of, I don't know if I should say attack, but he like sort of like tries to bury that dog.
Okay.
For trying to take its toy back.
Sure.
So he's kind of like baiting other dogs, I would say. So dog parks, you know, really just got to be careful if other dogs have toys, because he likes to steal them and then fight about it.
Okay. And then what? Because I think I saw on your form you wanted a board and train, was it?
Yeah. You know, yes, we do. I guess that's what Tyler and Elizabeth said they did with Winnie,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "This is amazing. You guys should definitely try it." So we wanted to try it too.
Okay, so I'll kind of explain how the board and train works, what we can get done, and what comes with it. So the length of time for the board and train just depends on like how much you want us to get done. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 week board and trains. I think with every week that your dog is here, the closer he is to being off leash trained. Okay, meaning all commands are off leash reliable. So we have 6 standard commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. No matter what program you choose, we do cover all 6 of those commands. It's just, again, how far do we take the dog? When it comes to a lot of the stuff that you're listing here, it can sound or feel difficult, but I think you actually you have a easier dog to work with. Okay. Yeah. The prey drive, pretty standard with dogs. We just got to harness that. Doesn't really seem like you have real leash reactivity other than the prey drive, because you said if a dog on an e-fence charges him, he might whine, but he doesn't like explode and start like going towards that dog, right?
Yep.
That's where things get a little difficult, because a lot of times we don't see that stuff at my facility. So the level that he's demonstrating when it comes to that is easy to address. The perimeter training, pretty straightforward, pretty logical. We can explain that to you once you get your foundation of how the e-collar works.
Okay.
And then, so that's not a problem. Even though we ourselves can't do it, super easy to teach yourself. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing was the baiting dogs.
Yeah.
That one's fairly simple in the sense that we can prevent that behavior from happening. Okay. So what really matters is like, well, how far do you want him to go behaviorally? Obedience wise, obedience is always the easy thing. Okay. Just because it's mechanical control, put your butt down, come when I call you, walk on my side without pulling. It's just mechanical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Behavioral stuff is always where there's like the work and there's a bit more in-depthness to it. Okay.
Okay.
So um when it comes to the baiting dogs, I'm assuming that's something that makes you uncomfortable, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we would do,
I generally just like avoid dog parks now because it's like yeah, I feel
yeah.
uncomfortable taking. Yeah.
When it comes to dog parks, like I wouldn't even worry about dog parks just because there's so many variables there. Let's say your dog Tony is doing just fine, he's minding his business, but then another dog starts a problem with them,
Mhm.
and like you can only do so much with that other dog, right?
Right.
So then like I get a lot of clients whose dogs are perfectly fine unless another dog starts something and then it becomes a problem. So then I'll tell them like, well, your dog's technically not the problem. The problem is the other dog that's not controlled.
Right.
However, let's say Tony were to be socializing with like a friend's dog and you saw him baiting that dog. That would actually be easier because one, we have some kind of control over the other dog because the owner, right? It's a controlled situation. But what we can do is actually teach them, one, to not steal other dogs' things.
Okay.
So we can just prevent the problem from happening. Or if we see him playing with the ball and he drops it and he's baiting the dog, you can stop the problem right there. Okay. All through the e-collar.
Okay, great.
So e-collar does two things. It can teach dogs to do things and it can teach dogs not to do things.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and when it comes to the behavioral stuff, it's really us educating you on how to approach it correctly. Okay. And we can do like, how to say baseline stuff, but like, let's say we have him with the ball with a couple other dogs and he does no baiting, right? We can't work on anything that we don't see is a problem, and that can happen. We actually just had a dog do like a 2-week boarding train with us that had was a resource guarder, which is kind of similar to what you're dealing with in a sense, and we saw no resource guarding while she was with us, you know. So but when it comes to addressing the issue, it's pretty simple. It's simply apply an aversive to stop something you don't like,
Mhm.
and all this would be explained to you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We do our best to try to work on it, but we can't guarantee we can recreate it. Okay. So when it comes to the obedience stuff, um, how much control would you like over Tony?
I mean, because he is, uh, he's big and solid. He's 80 pounds. Like, I'd love to have like a lot of control or as much control over him. Just because I think he can scare people.
Right. I see here what he's 80 pounds.
Yeah, 80 pounds, and he's also like already on the list. I think for the neighborhood, like they don't like that there's a pit bull in the neighborhood, whatever.
Gotcha.
So I'd love to just have like all the control over him.
Okay. So you like in a 2 to 4 week range. Um, if you want to, if you know, or it's kind of like I want complete control, not have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Then you're like in the 4 week range. If it's just like I want complete control and I don't mind putting in work. With any program that you do, you have to put in some level of work.
For sure. Yep.
It's just how much is depends on how long we have them.
Okay.
But you would be at a minimum of 2 weeks, and that maximum would be 4 weeks for stuff like this.
Okay. Is it? And then can you break it up, or do you recommend like just doing one block? Like if I did like 2 weeks, then
We've had people break it up, but
Yeah.
now we are crazy slammed We're booked, just so that you're aware, in terms of board and trains. We don't have another opening, went too far ahead, until July 7th would be our next opening. And that's with us being, we took on a couple of more than we normally do. So come July 7th is when we'd have space for him. So back in 2020, when things were slower, like I didn't care. I just told people like, yeah, do 2 weeks here and you do a week here, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's, if you did want to break it up, I would at least do 2. And then if you decided you wanted more, you just want to be ahead of the game and like contact us so that you're not trying to get them in, you know, within a couple of weeks, and then we're booked out another, you know, month or 2.
I guess like I like the idea of starting with 2 right now. I totally understand what you're saying about, you know, a full month for full control. But just for the budget with all the moving parts, I think starting with 2 would probably make more sense for us, I think.
Yeah, I think at minimum 2 is you're fine. Okay. Because it would be different, like I said, with the reactivity stuff, if you were telling me like he responds really negatively to like dogs behind fences. So I think you're actually going to be fine with 2,
Okay.
but it's more so like if you just know like I want as much control as possible, that's just a longer program.
Okay.
But realistically speaking, for what you're talking about and the concerns that I see here, I think you're fine with 2 weeks. Okay. And you're always welcome back, but welcome to bring them back. The collar that he would need, I'm sure you're familiar with it, right? It's just a miniaturized tendon. It's not electrocution. You're not electrocuting the dog. It's just a muscle contraction. The collar that you would need runs around $330-ish with tax.
Okay.
Okay. It's a 1 mile range, fully waterproof system. They last for years. I've had mine for 8 years. The only issue that I've had is the battery. It's rechargeable lithium battery. They do give out, you know, after a couple of years. So you can go to Dogtra and you can either buy a replacement battery and replace it yourself, or you can send it in and Dogtra can repair it for you. It usually takes a couple of weeks and there's like a small fee that's associated with it. But otherwise, I've had clients do both. I've had clients replace the batteries themselves, and I've had clients send it in for repair. And then you get back your system and then it's good to go again. Okay. So they're a little pricey, but they're going to last a very long time.
Okay. So I'll obviously get that before the boarding starts. Okay.
And you can get them on Amazon, and Maria will send you the information as well. You can get them on Amazon. If you do get them on Amazon, make sure that you check your collar, read the manual. I suggest that you test it. If you look at the remote, it's a LED light up, and the numbers go in increments of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 127. If you are turning the dial and you see the numbers kind of shoot all over the place and they look inconsistent, or if it doesn't seem right,
yep,
chances are you have a dud. Contact Amazon, exchange it, you know, get a new one so that this way you don't bring it and we're like, hey, we can't work with this. You can also get them through us. We check all our callers before we give them to the client, so that this way if there's an issue. And then for the clients that get them through us, within 30 days, if there's a problem, we would just exchange out the collar, and then we deal with Dogtra ourselves. If it's after 30 days, you can send it to Dogtra, but then we can provide you with the loaner.
Okay. Okay, great.
Other questions?
I'm sure you guys have a plan, like we send food, or how does that work for 2 weeks?
Sure. Yeah. So so all we need from you is leash, regular collar, food for his stay. And then, the remote collar we're purchasing through Amazon. Otherwise, we can have it.
Okay.
And that's about it. We don't do toys anymore, just because things were getting mixed up.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. We do ask that you bag his food individually, just because we're so busy now. We don't want to get dogs' food mixed up. So if you just bring a bag with his food in it, labeled, then you're good with that as long as it's enough for 2 weeks, plus a little bit more. Generally, dogs don't eat the first few days because they're out of their element. They're in an unknown place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you get some food back, don't be concerned. It's normal. But we suggest just bringing a little bit more food just in case, because since we are very active at the facility, he's going to be burning a lot of calories.
Okay.
So it's kind of like he might eat it or he might eat too much. So
okay. Okay. And then how about like my training? what does that affect?
So with the boarding trains, what we do now is each week you're going to get a video. Okay. So you're going to get 2 videos in total for the 2 weeks. The first video is the longest. It's roughly going to be about an hour to hour and a half. Okay. That video is going to break down everything that Tony has learned, and you're going to see Tony learn each behavior raw. Like it's going to be the first lesson of everything. Okay. Because when we do e-collar, every dog responds differently. And it's not like, oh, you train the dog and then you press a button and they just do things. There's a whole process behind it. We of course want you to understand that process. So let's say we work with Tony and he ends up being what we call a flighty dog. A flighty dog is a dog that wants to like run off from the collar. If we stop the training because we go, oh, he's scared, like he's trying to run away. Now we have unreliable obedience, right? And the training process. We have to work the dog through it. So you would see that in the video. You would see that live. So that you understand that. And then at week 2, you would see essentially Tony's progress from week 1 to week 2, and should be a big 180. Okay. Because now he's understanding the collar. He's had plenty of exposure to it. So he's getting the communication. And then you kind of see where he's advanced and where he's at by the time you pick him up. Okay. Now, some clients will watch the videos, pick up their dog and practice, and schedule when they're ready. Other clients, I can have their follow-up on the pickup. Okay. And with the 2-week board and train, I'd have to check here. I believe 4 hours of follow-up. So what that means is, let's say you pick up Tony, you watch your video, and you schedule a pickup, a follow-up on your pickup, and you tell Enrique, you're like, hey, I watched the videos, but I'm struggling with understanding like heel, right? He would help cover that with you to kind of close the gap on anything that you didn't pick up on in the video. And then you would go off, and you're not set to a schedule for your follow-up. Okay. Some clients watch the videos and they're great with the videos, and then we'll hear back from them a month or 2 later, just to kind of tie up some loose ends. Other clients are more like, watch the video, do the follow-up on the pickup, and then do follow-ups consistently. So we don't care how you use them. They're there. They don't expire. They don't go anywhere. But essentially you get, it's 4 hours of follow-up. So like 4 lessons essentially. And then let's say you do 2 follow-ups and you watch the videos and you feel good about everything. Then you have 2 follow-ups left. And then in a year, if something happens, you can come back and just use a follow-up. Okay. So they don't expire. Perfect.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and then with the video, they're there, so like it's always something that you can refer to. It's not, it's a resource for you, which a lot of people like, because then if they forget anything or if they misremembered something, they can just always go back to the video and then kind of get a refresher.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that sounds really good. I think I know the price, but
for the
2 weeks,
yeah, the 2 week right here, I just put it up. It's $27.50.
Okay. $27.50, and then the $330 for the collar. Okay.
Correct. And then the hold your spot, because if you're booking ahead, it's half down, and then the other half is due before you pick up your dog. Okay.
Cool. So if I talk to Maria tomorrow and put half down, is that how that works?
Correct. Yeah. And then you would actually, What we can do is if you email Maria and tell her like, hey, I want the 2-week, can you put me down for your soonest availability?
Yep.
Is she'll block it off. And the scheduling is actually done through Kim, who's my kennel manager. Because Maria solely handles my private lesson schedule. She may also just take care of it depending on what her schedule looks like tomorrow. But what we do is we just gray it out. So like, let's say if you tell me, yes, if you could just like block out the 7th of July, I'll mark it in gray. So we know that you're there. And then once your down payment is made, we fill it in and then we know you're set. Okay.
Yeah, I would say block out the 7th of July and then I can get the down payment going tomorrow.
Quick. Other questions?
He's 4 years old. Have you seen like good success with 4-year-old dogs?
I've trained dogs as old as 12. Okay. Yeah. The whole can't teach a dog new tricks is a myth.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
I've not had a dog I've not been able to train in 10 years. So e-collar gives us the most control, the most consistency. It's very easy to learn. It's very common sense. It's very logical. The only problem that we have with e-collar is that, let's say we work with Tony and he's very physically tough and the collar goes to 127.
Yeah.
Let's say his number is 80. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, is we know why it's 80, but the client gets their dog back and they're like 80. They're like, isn't that high? That's 2/3 of 127. And we go, yeah. It is, but that's your dog's number.
Yep.
But in the video, the trainer Enrique will he'll explain why Tony's number is what it is. Like he'll demonstrate how to recognize the number. And then as we progress in the training, it's possible that the number may dip. A lot of times in the beginning it's higher and then it dips once the dog becomes more aware of what the collar is.
Yeah.
Some dogs stay static, some dogs it can even go up. Okay. But we explain all that stuff in the video. So like, let's say you get your dog back and his number is 80 and he's not yelping. It's just, that's the number he needs to listen.
Yeah.
But then, you call us, you're like, hey guys, like, Tony's not behaving, like he's doing terribly, like what's going on? The first thing we're going to ask you is, what's your number on the e-collar? Okay. That's almost always the problem, is that the owner is not high enough on the collar because they think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And like, I have a golden retriever right now that I'm training, and on his first lesson, his number was 95.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's a very sweet, and he's a puppy. He's like 7-8 months. So like for the owner, like if themselves, they wouldn't.
Right.
And I have other golden retrievers whose numbers are 20. So size of dog, breed, age, temperament, none of that stuff matters. He could be a very like tough dog, but be very sensitive on the side. So, but that's the biggest thing that holds people back, is simply they feel uncomfortable with how high the collar is. Our theory of training is as low as possible, but as high as needed. Sure. To get the dog to perform.
Like a baby.
Everything. But we at the same time.
Like a baby. Like a baby. No, like a baby.
You're a little baby.
Other questions?
I don't think I have any right now. It sounds. Sounds great. I like the way you're speaking to him being like a relatively. Hang on one second. You little baby. Can you hang on one second? Thanks. I guess I like what I'm hearing. So I don't think I have any questions right now.
Okay. If you want to get an idea of what the process looks like,
sure.
Go to our YouTube channel, which you can access through our website.
Yep.
It may even be a clickable link at the bottom of the channel on YouTube. And we have playlists. You can go to like the board and train playlist, to see like what does it's you call them the
That's
explanatory.
you, Daddy.
The longest one, so like an hour, an
I
hour.
want to go back to my mom.
Like watch one to get a feel for like, okay, like this is what it looks like. And if you watch like a lesson one with a private, like with a regular like in-person client, you can also see the logic behind how the collar works, because I'm working with the client personally.
Yeah.
And no one knows what they're doing but me. So you can kind of see just how it works for the dog and how consistent it is. Because I'm all about like people knowing what they're, obviously they referred you and you're familiar with it. But just to see it visually, to get an understanding, I think it just helps people go like, oh, okay, like this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then,
We were like totally blown away seeing Winnie. Like we had seen Winnie back in October, and then seeing her, like just her responsiveness to Tyler.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, we have to do this for Tony.
Yeah. Other questions?
I don't think so. I'm excited to get started.
Okay. So I'll talk to Maria. I'll let her know. I already have you blocked off here on the calendar for July 7th. And then don't worry about if you don't see an invoice. Like if you tell Maria, like, hey, Maria, I'm good for July 7th. I want 2 weeks. She'll forward it to Kim, but Kim is out until Sunday.
Okay.
But your spot is there. Okay.
Yep.
And then as soon as you make that down payment, we'll secure it, and then you're good to go. And then we'll see you on July 7th.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, that all sounds great. I'm really sorry I was late today.
No, it's fine. I was just here, and I was like, I hope.
Yeah.
Sometimes the links don't work, and I called Maria, and I think she had tried to call you or something. But
yeah, she was calling and texting me, and then like both kids had breakdowns, and I'm sorry about that.
No, it's I grew up with two brothers and a sister, so I'm aware.
Okay. Well, thank you for your patience. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's not a problem. So we're getting in contact with you. So no worries if you don't hear from Kim. She's out till Sunday, but your spot is reserved right here on the calendar. Okay.
Perfect. That sounds great.
And if you need anything else, let us know. We'll be in contact.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jesse.
Take care.
All right. Bye.